Ladies and gentlemen, something just snapped inside of the Democratic Party and you can feel it. I mean, the talking points aren't landing, the excuses aren't sticking, and the usual distractions, they're not working anymore because right now, everything is colliding at once. A hard January shutdown deadline, a federal funding fight that Democrats can't win cleanly, and a jaw-dropping $76 billion California bombshell detonating at the worst possible moment. Now, this is not coincidence, this is pressure. While Democrats are posturing and stalling, President Trump is sitting on something that they can't outrun: results. Real economic momentum, stabilizing prices, job optimism, energy relief. This is the kind of progress that doesn't care about spin. And when that happens, panic replaces strategy. This is why you're seeing the scramble. This is why funding bills get blocked at the last minute. This is why lawmakers get sent home. And this is why suddenly the largest Democrat-run state in the country is being exposed for losing track of tens of billions of taxpayer dollars. This is money that vanished through mismanagement, fraud, and pure incompetence. I mean, let's just call it what it is, guys. Theft, fraud, pretty much the same thing, huh? Drop a yes down below. This is what panic looks like at the top. When deadlines close in, the audits surface. When the math turns ugly, and when the usual escape routes disappear, they begin to panic. Well, tonight, we're breaking down how all of this connects: the shutdown threats, the California collapse, and why Democrats are running out of time, options, and credibility. Because when narratives fail, numbers don't. Guys, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you haven't, please consider subscribing. I saw a statistic recently saying about 16% of our viewers today are not subscribed. It's kind of like you guys are watching, enjoying the videos, and then not subscribing, not sure what happened there. Anyway, so let's go ahead and set the clock, because this is where everything starts tightening. Right now, Washington is staring straight at January 2026 federal funding deadline. And this is not some abstract calendar note, or it's not like it's just not important. It's not like it's just trash day. You know what I'm saying? This deadline exists because the government was only reopened temporarily after the last shutdown fight. So we could theoretically see another government shutdown in a matter of days. This means that the current funding arrangement is on borrowed time. No deal, no extension, the government shuts down again, period. Now, here's why this matters, okay? Deadlines remove spin. They force action. They expose who's bluffing and who isn't. Every day that passes without a deal compresses the pressure because agencies can't plan. Markets don't like uncertainty, and Americans start asking a very simple question: who's playing games with my paycheck and my services? Drop a TSA down below if anybody remembers when the TSA got laid off, or basically kind of like they didn't get any paychecks and they still had to work the airport security. Anybody remember that? Anybody got stuck in the airport during that? That was fun, wasn't it? Well, this is not theoretical anymore. We are now inside the danger window, and this is why the temperature in Washington just spiked. So when the clock becomes visible, panic replaces posturing, and that leads directly to the next question. Why would anyone allow this to happen again? I mean, it's just asinine, isn't it? Now, here's the part that the media dances around. This shutdown threat is a choice. Democrats aren't risking another shutdown by accident. They're doing it because leverage is all they have left. Blocking funding gives them control of the chaos, even if it damages the country in the process. These guys don't care. And what makes this moment different and far more desperate is that this is happening under President Donald J. Trump, not divided government. That matters, guys. They can't blame Republicans for gridlock when Trump is openly pushing stability, clarity, and results. So obstruction becomes strategy, delay becomes power, and shutdown threats become political weapons, not fiscal disagreements. But here's the problem, guys. When you're the one that's lighting the fuse, you also own the explosion. And Americans remember who shut the doors, who sent workers home, who didn't send paychecks out, and who chose brinkmanship over governance. Which kind of brings us to the real reason why this panic is escalating. The economy isn't cooperating anymore. And so this is where the ground really kind of gives way beneath them. For years, Democrats relied on one escape hatch: the economy. If things were bad, they blamed it on Trump. If things improved, they claimed that it was temporary or accidental, couldn't possibly have been because of Donald J. Trump. But right now, under President Trump, that escape route is sealed shut. Inflation has cooled down, job sentiment is improving, Energy costs are stabilizing, businesses are planning expansion instead of bracing, and trade positioning is firming up. None of this fits the script Democrats prepared for 2025. And when the economy stops cooperating with your narrative, panic sets in because voters don't vote on spin, they vote on lived reality. You can't scream crisis while people feel relief. You can't sell chaos when the numbers say progress. That's why the shutdown threats suddenly feel louder, sharper, and more reckless. When momentum turns against you, disruption becomes the only remaining tool. And that panic, it spills straight into the media. Now, the next point matters more than people realize. A viewer recently told me that he had a heart scare. He did what anyone else would do. He went to the closest hospital. Only later did he find out that his hospital wasn't covered under his Medicare plan. He said, "I didn't know. I just went to the closest place." And would you blame him? I wouldn't. And that's the danger right there. It's not the big decisions that get people, it's the hidden details. One moment, one emergency, one line of fine print that you never knew existed. Oh yeah, I hate the freaking fine print, don't you? This is why I partner with Chapter. Chapter helps you spot the blind spots before life tests you. They don't sell you a plan, they review what you already have and explain what's missing, and they help you fix it for free. Now, most people who take this seriously, they're already dialing the phone number down below on your screen, 909-563-8279. Call them right now or click the link down below and go to askchapter.org/Ron, because when it comes to emergencies, guessing is not a strategy. Now watch closely, guys, because this is where the mask slips. The old explanations are still being deployed. COVID, supply chains, global forces, but they're landing flat. I mean, you can hear it in the interviews. The hesitation, the contradictions, the sudden pivot mid-sentence. Confidence has been replaced with confusion. They say inflation was natural. Then they say it was unavoidable. Then they say it's actually good news. None of it connects because people remember what they paid and when they paid it. Messaging collapses when reality won't bend. And that collapse matters because media cover is exactly how political pressure gets diffused. When the press can't translate failure into excuse, panic goes public. Viewers see it, voters feel it. This is when the system starts lashing out, not with solutions, but with obstruction, not with clarity, but with noise. And that brings us to the next escalation, blocking funding itself, then pretending that it's leadership. You see, this is where the inversion happens, and it's brazen. At the 11th hour, funding bills get blocked, votes stall, lawmakers are sent home, and then almost immediately, the narrative flips. Obstruction is rebranded as responsibility. Delay is framed as diligence. Chaos is blamed on the process. But let's be clear here, guys. Systems don't block funding. People do. When Democrats stop a deal at the last minute, it's not governance breaking down. It's leverage being pulled. They know shutdown threats create fear, headlines, and pressure. And when the pressure spikes, they hope someone else blinks first. The problem is this time Americans were watching the sequence. They see who advanced the bill and who stopped it. They see who wanted continuity and who wanted confrontation. And when the realization sinks in, the usual blame game loses power, which is exactly why the next development hit like a thunderclap, because it exposed what mismanagement really looks like. And so just as shutdown tension peaks, the floor drops out from under them. Suddenly, the country learns that $76 billion has gone missing in California, not misplaced, not delayed, but lost through mismanagement, waste, and outright failure. This isn't partisan spin. This comes from audits, oversight reports, and hard numbers. Timing matters. This didn't surface in a quiet news cycle. It exploded while Democrats were already defending shutdown brinkmanship. This is what makes it a bombshell, because now the question isn't hypothetical spending. It's real money, taxpayer money, vanished money, and it's tied to the largest Democrat-run state in the country. You can't argue for more funding while failing to account for what you already spent. You can't preach competence while losing track of tens of billions of dollars. And once that contradiction hits daylight, panic doesn't stay contained, it spreads. Now, let's go ahead and slow this thing down here, because this part doesn't require outrage, it requires attention. That $76 billion didn't vanish into thin air. It bled out across multiple programs quietly, predictably, and repeatedly. Start with COVID relief funds. Billions rushed out the door with minimal verification, later flagged as improperly paid out or outright fraudulent. Then look at food assistance programs. Think about feeding our future. Where, Ilhan Omar's hometown is Minneapolis, Minnesota, where improper payments stacked up year after year, ignored until they became impossible to hide. Next comes infrastructure. Projects approved, funded, delayed, refunded, and still unfinished. Money spent without outcomes. And finally, homelessness spending, where tens of billions of dollars were allocated with little to no tracking of results, outcomes, or accountability. None of this is ideological. It's administrative failure at scale. And when auditors finally connect the dots, the number told the story. I mean, this was a story Democrats did not want breaking out during a shutdown fight, which kind of leads us to the face that's attached to the failure. California isn't just another state. It's the flagship. It's the largest Democrat-run economy in the country, a donor powerhouse, a policy showcase, a cultural export, which means when California fails, it doesn't fail quietly. It fails symbolically. Under Gavin Newsom, California became the proof of concept for progressive governance. And this is exactly why this scandal hit so hard. Because losing $76 billion is not a messaging problem. This is a credibility collapse. I mean, you can't argue for expanded federal funding while presiding over historic mismanagement at home. You can't lecture the nation on efficiency while auditors flag your agencies as high risk. You can't blame Republicans when Democrats have held total control. This is why this moment terrifies national Democrats. California wasn't supposed to be the warning label. It was supposed to be the model. And when the model breaks, the narrative breaks with it. So this is where the failure stops being abstract and it becomes undeniable. California didn't just lose money. It failed at basic execution. A 911 upgrade that took hundreds of millions of dollars and still didn't work. A high-speed rail project that burned through tens of billions of dollars without laying functional track. Dams flagged as deteriorating, systems scrapped and restarted after years of spending. So here's the humiliation. This happened in the shadow of Silicon Valley. This isn't about ideology. This is about competence. When a government can't modernize emergency services or finish infrastructure it already paid for, the problem isn't the funding, it's management. Voters understand that instinctively. This is why it stings, because Democrats cannot point to complexity or opposition. These were single-party projects overseen for years with no one else to blame. So when the results finally surface, the embarrassment is structural. And that humiliation feeds directly into political fear, because it lands right before an election cycle. Bad timing for the Democrats. Now, if you put it all together and the fear becomes obvious, I mean, you have a looming government shutdown, blocked funding votes, a collapsing media narrative, a $76 billion scandal, infrastructure failures, and on top of all of it, you have an economy that isn't cooperating with opposition messaging. That is the combination that leaves Democrats with no clean talking point heading into 2026. So they can't claim fiscal responsibility while auditors flag mass mismanagement. They can't sell urgency while creating shutdown chaos. And they can't argue for expanded federal power while failing at the state level. Worst of all, they can't even redirect the blame. The timelines are very clear, the numbers are public, and the contrast is sharp. That's why the reactions feel frantic. When narratives collapse simultaneously, panic replaces discipline. Strategy turns into disruption, and obstruction becomes the last remaining lever. Which kind of brings us to the final phase, how Trump plays this moment and what panic always reveals in the end. Here's the part that drives Democrats crazy. President Donald J. Trump doesn't need theatrics right now. He doesn't need dramatic speeches. He doesn't need last minute deals behind closed doors. All he has to do is apply pressure and let reality do the work for him. Deadlines, budgets, audits, numbers. The system itself is forced into contrast. Trump understands that panic thrives on reactions. So instead, he stays disciplined. He keeps the focus on the outcome, not outrage. He lets Democrats own the shutdown threats. He lets California own the missing billions of dollars. And he lets voters connect the dots. This is strategic containment. So when your opponent is flailing, you don't interrupt them. Let them keep on exposing themselves. This is exactly what President Trump is doing right now. And every day that passes without blinking tightens the vice. Because panic feeds on uncertainty, but confidence feeds on clarity. Which brings us to the final truth that's tying all of this together. Strip away the rhetoric, and panic always leaves fingerprints. It shows up in missed deadlines. It shows up in blocked votes. It shows up in failed audits. It shows up in unaccounted billions. So when narratives collapse, leaders stop persuading and they start scrambling. And scrambling creates numbers that don't add up. That's what we're watching right now. The shutdown clock is real. The funding gaps are real. The $76 billion California failure is real. And Trump's economic momentum is real. Now, those facts, they don't argue. They don't spin. They just sit there enforcing accountability. This isn't about personality. It's about math. And math doesn't panic. People do. So when you see the sudden urgency, the contradictions, the obstruction, the blame shifting, understand what this is. It's not confidence. It's strategy. It's panic at the top. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.